What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the PNN podcast. We're here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon here in the Valley. We got a good one on deck for you guys, as you can see. Joey Parati, Edward Neiman, and we're all ready to go. We got a Masters recap, Fighters Corner back in progress, some MLB news, and then NBA playoffs are actually starting tonight, Tuesday night. This episode should drop Wednesday, but hopefully y'all are doing good. Edward, don't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're good. I'm reading about LeBron James, talking about the man on the Lakers, getting ready for ring number five. So I'm just studying the game, as
okay.
we're about to enter the NBA playoffs. But yeah, great episode ahead. As you mentioned, Joey, fantastic Masters we got treated to this past weekend, playing action, MLB, everything's kind of in full swing right now. So also inching closer to the NFL draft. I know we haven't really touched on that so much these last couple weeks, but that's also on the horizon as well. So a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline here on the PNN podcast.
Yeah, speaking of the NFL draft, we may have to get a couple special guests on for that, and then
Yep.
hopefully bring some on throughout the season goes on. I know our time in the Valley is coming up short as Edward has to go back to Chicago soon. Um, Unfortunately, he's going to be selling the bag when I show up there, but it's all good. Nonetheless, we move on. Let's talk about the Masters recap. Probably the highlight of the weekend for me, or one of the highlights of the weekend. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a great turnout. I thought it was competitive, like we all wanted to see. Obviously, Rory McIlroy was, as Pat McAfee said, was going to Rory McIlroy himself out of the winning, but unfortunately, or fortunately for him, he got lucky enough to where there was a couple, or there was like what two play what
Yep.
do they call it? Extra holes.
Playoff holes, yeah.
Yeah. So he came up and got his grand slam grand slam. Um Thoughts on that, Edward? I think Edward's thoughts throughout the weekend was, let's just hope DeChambeau doesn't win because he
Yeah,
was inching towards that.
Yeah, honestly, we entered that last day and it was the final grouping was DeChambeau and Rory. Two very different storylines. Rory was trying to complete the Grand Slam. He's won every major except the Masters entering Sunday. He was close back in, I think it was 2011. He kind of folded down the back nine. So trying to right or wrong, you alluded to it. Joey missed a putt on 18 to win it, forced a playoff, and yeah, he ended up securing it um, on the first playoff hole. But yeah, I mean. I think credit where credit's due. Bryson DeChambeau, Joey's, favorite golfer, I suppose, I guess, for whatever reason. Played well for 3 rounds, unfortunately. A three over final round didn't quite cut it. Um, but yeah, I mean, as far as I think I would say a majority of golf fans wanted to see Rory get it. Such a good golfer over the past decade plus. Um, Surprising that the only major that he hadn't had is the Masters. I was surprised he didn't win a Master before this, but finally got it. Went to the playoff with Justin Rose. Justin Rose perhaps had the best out of anyone, 6 under final round, to push him towards that playoff at 11 under. Scotty Scheffler, he made a late charge too on the final day, an 8 under round for him. So I think Scheffler is very well still in the mix. And yeah, Patrick Reed was up there, another player who went to the Live. Kind of stopped hearing about him for a little while, made a little bit of a comeback. And then our guy Ludwig Oberg, solid Masters for him as well. Ended the weekend 6 under. So I think all around, like we mentioned it, Joy, those guys coming into the tournament who were the betting favorites, they showed up. Couple of surprises in there, but I think for the most part, a very solid 4 days of golf for the first major, which sets us up for an exciting second major of the year, the PGA Championship, in about a month's time.
Yeah, I mean, just like we said before, that's all we wanted was a competitive weekend. That's what we got. Some surprising names that caught my eye was Jason Day
Yeah.
ending -5. Wasn't really expecting that from him. I knew like he would kind of show up, but not to the extent of that. He was kind of in the mix. Max Homa, again, a guy that finished, I think, top 5 last Masters. kind of in the top 20 area. So again, I think what we saw was the top five kind of just remained the same, but just switched throughout with like McIlroy, Scheffler, DeChambeau, and then Oberg was in there for a little bit. Justin Rose obviously was in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
I would also add to a couple like surprises. You go down further down the leaderboard. Colin Morikawa was one of the betting favorites. I think he was inside the top five going into the weekend. He ended up just three under, so that was tied for 14th. But the winner was McIlroy, who was 12 under through the playoff hole, so he was a ways off. I'd say Victor Hovland too, a guy who was probably really at the top of the mix for the last three or so years, hasn't had a great past year. He was further down, and then Joaquin Niemann, another name that I was hearing out there coming over from the Live with the invitation, ended the round at even. So a couple surprises there too, I would say, in terms of underperforming. But like that's what we always talk about, right? Augusta is just a different type of course. It tests you in all different ways. You can't just live on your driving and your long game, nor can you just live on your putting. Like you have to have really everything honed in, and um, I think that's why it's obviously the best tournament of the year.
yeah. Um, can we talk about that McIlroy shot that he had? What hole was that on? Was it
There were
like
a couple
16,
there were a couple
17?
of them, but I think there was one. I think the one you're referring to was on 16,
Yeah.
which put him just a few feet from the hole, and at that point, like going down to 17, I think at that point he had a three shot lead. It was kind of seeming improbable, but then the bogey on 18 like really made things interesting because going into that playoff, I personally thought that Justin Rose had the advantage, right? McIlroy's coming off a brutal short missed putt, and Justin Rose
Yeah.
is coming off a putt on 18 that he made a few hours prior to Rory McIlroy finishing that was like 25 plus feet. So I don't know. McIlroy always makes it interesting. Exhibit A was what the U.S. Open of last year.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about, or that's what they were saying, with him matched up against DeChambeau, it might, uh change his game. That's the problem when you play with DeChambeau, he gets in your head just because of all the shots he takes and how, he's probably gonna outdrive you and play his game. And then you kind of have to match that somehow, but Roy just stuck with this shot and I mean, it was just insane. One of the greatest shots. It was actually a par five on 15 is where he got
On
it.
15, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that shot. I wish we can put a video of it because it's like one of the greatest shots in golf ever. Just bending the dog leg left and then on the green as well and like a couple feet away from the hole. Insane shot. And then I think after that, didn't he make like he shot in the water, I think after that or before that.
Yeah. Yeah, he took two really critical double bogeys I guess coming out of Amen corner. So I thought it was interesting. Like for me, for Rory, the tournament, it was like there was a couple really good shots. He had another really great one on seven. He was stuck in the rough on the left side, went over the trees and just put it right next to the hole. I felt like for him it was a lot of good shots in the mix, but then there were just some brutal mistakes that he made that kept things close. Because at one point he was, I think he got as low as 14 under. I want to say he was four shots in the lead, making the turn, and then it kind of fell apart. Ended the fourth round one over par, so he didn't even go under par in the final round. Um,
Mm,
so yeah, I mean, an interesting round for him, but also I think another thing you mentioned between DeChambeau and Rory, kind of like a budding, I don't say a rivalry because I'm not sure that they see it like that, but after the round, DeChambeau said that Rory did not say one word to him the whole fourth round. Um, I don't your thoughts on that, Joey? Because I've been hearing both sides of it, right? Like usually, when you're playing with another guy, right? There's a little bit of banter back and forth, at least in just talking to each other. But other people are saying, Roy was just locked in on winning the Grand Slam and winning the Masters, so that's why he wasn't talking.
yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, DeChambeau's the type of guy that I think he likes to banter. I think he likes to talk. At least just talk with his rival that he's going against. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah,
You know,
seemed to
especially
whatever it was worked.
especially like he probably has in his mind, I'm not letting what happened in the U.S. Open happen. I
Yeah,
gotta stick with what works. But speaking of Bryson, I mean that shot he made or that play he made on 18 to finished second in the on Saturday was insane. I
Yeah.
mean, do you know how many feet that was? I mean, it was off the green.
I think that was another 20 plus footer, yeah.
So, I mean, insane shot, but in the end, I mean, shout out to Bryson. He'll be back for sure. I mean, yeah, just couldn't pull it out. But good for Rory. I think everyone's kind of happy for him. I know it's kind of a split on where people are standing right now. You know, a lot of people didn't want him to win, but it's just how the game works, I guess.
Yeah.
So, um, moving on from the Masters, we got the Fighters Corner, and this is the highlight of my weekend was UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Lopez. Volkanovski defeats Diego Lopez by unanimous decision. Great fight, probably one of the most evenly matched fights we've seen. Both guys in absolute great condition. That was the one thing I took away from this. I think Edward can speak on this as well from the boxing standpoint, is when you see guys in shape that can last throughout the whole fight and they're not even tired. It might be different in boxing because they go like 15 rounds, but this was 5 rounds, 5 minutes for the belt. Both guys. Usually you see by the third round, they're starting heavy breathing, mouth breathing, mouths are open wide, pause. But other than that, I mean, they were in that third round. I mean, they were not tired at all. And by the fifth round, you could tell they were shooken up, but they seemed in great condition. And that's a test to, I think Volkanovski's like almost 40 years old or is 40 years old around then, um, against a young, hungry Diego Lopez. And, he got the unanimous decision. So, the co-main was Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler, and Pimlet. I wasn't able to watch this one because I had other priorities going on, but I did see the highlights, and Pimlet kind of walked him down the whole fight and got the win by TKO on round three. Just throwing elbows on top of him. So that was kind of it. And then Jair Rodriguez defeats Patricio Pitbull by unanimous decision. So that was the third fight in the pay-per-view. So other than that, I know Edward probably did you catch any of these at all or watch any highlights?
No, I saw some of the live looking, obviously down in Miami. It looked like it was a good environment. It's a good spot to have the UFC. But yeah, I mean, as far as like you mentioned conditioning, I think that's an interesting point you bring up. Just, I mean, you want the best to be fighting the best, and I think a lot of times when you get in these world title fights, whatever it be, UFC or boxing, guys who are conditioned well, I mean, that can literally win you a world title. So. Um, yeah, I'm glad that worked out for the UFC. Like I said, I'm still not a UFC fan, but I'll jump on the boat one of these days.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so Volk gets the win, gets the belt back. We'll see whose opponents are coming up next. I mean, I think literally by the end of the fight, I was like, Lopez deserves a rematch if he wants it. Like that's how good the fight was. So the man from down under gets it done. So yeah, that was UFC 314. You got any boxing for us, Edward
Yeah,
Neiman?
yeah, we had this past weekend big fight unification fight for the IBF and WBA titles of the welterweight division. John Boots Ennis beat Stantionis via 6 round TKO. Stantionis' corner threw in the title. So each of them had a belt coming into this one. Also, the Ring Magazine title was on the line. Little background: John Boots Ennis, one of the rising welterweights in the sport of boxing. Um, is very fringe top 10 pound for pound. He has all the skills and passes the eye test, but just hasn't had that statement victory. And this Saturday was Stantionis was a very formidable opponent, a front-footed, come forward type of action fighter, and Boots handled it well. Coming into this fight, Boots said it was going to be like his Floyd Mayweather versus Artur Gatti moment. That fight took place in the same venue they fought this weekend in Atlantic City. Mayweather stopped Gatti on the 6th round, and and Boots stopped Stantionis in the sixth round of this one. So very reminiscent. Boots kind of called his shot there, comparing this to the Mayweather performance in Atlantic City now 20 years ago. And yeah, I think moving forward, like John Ennis, Boots, he's in a top 10 pound for pound conversation. Um, he's a tough guy right now because right there's John Ennis, one of the best in the world, but still very young, so not a lot of upside for some of the big names to fight him because he poses a very big threat, but the payoff is beating a guy who's young in his career. So high risk, high reward, or high risk, low reward, I should say, for some of the top guys in the division right now. But boxing has another superstar on its hands in the welterweight division. So I was happy to see it. It was a good fight as long as it lasted. And yeah, like I mentioned in the last episode, good stretch of boxing coming up here for the next 5 weeks. Like Ryan Garcia is going to be back in the ring, Devin Haney. Lot of good fights coming down.
Nice. Are you covering any of Jake Paul's fights
No, I don't even know.
whenever
To
he
be honest, I don't
fights?
even know what Jake Paul's doing these days. I haven't heard from him in a couple weeks, which is pretty
He's on
rare
that
for which is
HBO
rare for
Max
him. Yeah.
HBO Max show.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't see. I don't get HBO. It's like keeping up with the Kardashians with him. So I, uh, I don't know what he's doing these days.
All right. All right. Fair enough. Um, that's all we got for the fighters corner. Um, anything else we'll bring up? Like Edward said, we got boxing coming up. I think the next pay-per-view UFC event is May 10th. So,
Yeah.
um, get locked in for that one day before my birthday. I bet Edward didn't even know that.
No, I definitely
Yeah.
knew that. I was yeah,
Yeah.
I was waiting on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Let's move on to the MLB. Today is Jackie Robinson Day. Um, so just shout out to Jackie Robinson, number 42. Have you ever seen the film 42?
I did a very long time ago. I actually went and saw that in theaters, but I was
Yeah.
very young, so I don't remember it completely. But that was like a rare occasion that I was actually in the movie theater.
Yeah. It's a solid movie. Recommend everyone to watch it if you haven't. Kind of a bit disturbing if you're not really prepared for it, I would say, especially when the great Phillies play the Brooklyn Dodgers. That's
Yeah. I was gonna say I think I remember it being kind of like like at some points my parents were kind of like, brace yourself.
yeah. It's just and I think I respect the movie for that just because that's literally what he was going through and
Exactly.
worse probably.
Right. You can't try to erase that part. So I think I think that's important for people who really want to understand the magnitude of what Jackie Robinson had to deal with.
Yeah. And what he went through leaves such an impact in today's game. I mean, you can't even explain it how big his impact is, but so that's Jackie Robinson Day. You'll hopefully I wish you think they're gonna wear 42 all week or just for today,
I don't know.
Tuesday.
I don't know how they've been doing that lately. I forget what they did last year.
Because I think when it's a weekend series, they usually wear 42 for the weekend
Right.
series.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, they should do it all week, in my opinion. That would
Yeah.
be pretty cool. And I know the Dodgers are wearing like the Brooklyn hats today.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. And then we'll probably see some like custom cleats on for some people. But yeah, so happy Jackie Robinson Day for everyone out there. In other news, we got Team USA. Probably one of the good news coming out this week. I know I'm pretty hyped for it. Team USA announced that Aaron Judge is Captain America for our World Baseball Classic next year. So pretty hyped about that. I know he was gonna play last WBC, but he was in the midst of being a free agent and where he was gonna go with the Yankees when there was rumored to go to the Giants and all that happened. So he was just kind of busy with all that, but now he's certified himself into that captain role, and why not have the captain of the most famous baseball team, the New York Yankees, be the captain of the United States of America? So thoughts on that, Edward?
Oh man, I'm happy about just I think when I saw this news, my reaction was more just like the greater part of it. Like right now, I think baseball's in a very good spot. We have top emerging marquee players that are must-see TV. And I think that's kind of what the game had been missing for a little while. And guys like Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, all these top guys are I think are kind of bringing the sport uh, kind of back almost in a little sense. And I think Aaron Judge being Captain America is just like the latest slice of it. So I'm excited for it. Like you mentioned, WBC, that's a fun time, and I'll be locked in for sure.
All right. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Speaking of Team USA, we got a projected roster that we could be seeing. Last one was pretty stacked. The lineup was pitching was a little iffy. I would say, we had Adam Wainwright and Lance Lynn and Merrill Kelly throwing starting for us. So wasn't the deepest of rotations, but yeah, should I go through it?
Yeah, why
Would
not? I
would
mean,
you would you like to hear the
we
roster?
we can't just tease everybody,
Hey,
right?
all right,
We
all right,
gotta tell them.
relax, relax. All right, so the lineup or like the position players would be obviously Aaron Judge, and then Mike Trout, Bryce Harper. We got Mookie Betts, Will Smith, Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt, Kyle Tucker, Corbin Carroll, Trey Turner, Jackson Merrill, Adley Rutschman, and I think that's about it. Did I miss any positions, you think?
I don't have anything out in front of me, but yeah, that sounded about right.
Okay, okay. Yeah. I mean,
I should have
the
been filling
lineup,
out a position chart as you went through them, so I'm sorry about that.
all right, I'll go. Let me, I didn't have them in positions. I just kind of put them down. But yeah, I mean, I think the pieces like the guys that didn't really sit last time were Trout and Betts. I think that's probably going to be how it is this next time around but just add Judge. I mean, I don't even know how the lineup's going to be looking. I mean, a name we're leaving out is Kyle Schwarber, who had a pretty good lineup or a pretty good WBC last time around. I know Kyle Tucker had a good one. Um, if you look at last time's roster, I think the only guys that probably take off would be Tim Anderson, just because he got knocked out, and then Jeff McNeil
Yeah,
because he was ass.
yeah.
So um, other than that, and then our starters, this is the key part: pitching. Paul Skeens, Tariq Skubal, Garrett Crochet, Logan Gilbert, Logan Webb, Hunter Green, Zach Wheeler, and then we could add like Michael King, Dylan Cease. Actually, take off Dylan Cease, he's ass. And then relievers, Tanner Scott, Ryan Helsley, Mason Miller, Devin Williams, and Cade Smith from the Guardians. So
So who beats that team?
honestly, I don't. We shall find out. I mean, the Dominicans, Puerto Rico's gonna have a lineup. Venezuela. I mean, they were our toughest test last time.
Yeah,
Mexico is on the come up, as we saw last time as well. And then Japan just knows how to play ball. So
yeah.
they're obviously gonna have Shohei and all their guys. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, hopefully the in the next coming weeks we'll get announcements of players joining the team. I know Mark DeRosa is the head manager of that, so he's back on it with his staff. And Andy Pettit is the pitching coach, so they're making the calls right now, trying to get everybody locked in for next year. So, any last thoughts on that?
No, like I said, I'm obviously kind of got to sell the WBC firsthand. I don't even remember. Was that at the beginning? When did they hold it? I forget when that was, but
They do it during spring training.
during spring training, right? So yeah, I got to see it firsthand, obviously, kind of. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited
Yeah. Um, do you have do you have a roster pulled up for that? I was wondering if you would want to make a lineup for that at all.
for no, I don't have the roster pulled up right now. I try to find it. Hold on.
But just like the hypothetical roster.
Hypothetical roster?
Yeah, because they're dropping that on like the MLB websites and everything.
I don't even think where can I find this? I can't even find this.
I don't know. It's all good.
Okay.
We'll just move on, I guess.
Okay. All right. I'll bring it to you
Um,
next week.
all right, that sounds good. Um, in other news, we got new City Connects in the league. Colorado Rockies. We'll have a picture up for you showing you. Thoughts on that, Edward? I know you're a big fan of those.
No, yeah, definitely not. Me and Joey kind of talked about this before we got on. Is like, I think the Rockies have a lot of potential for City Connect uniforms. I think the purple works well. I can kind of understand where they're going with the colors of this one. I think they said the colors were inspired by like the Colorado sunsets and the Rockies and whatnot. But yeah, I think they kind of missed the mark, to be honest with you. The hat's not bad. The hat, standalone hat's not bad. The jerseys, the numbers kind of remind me of the Nuggets. I
Hmm.
just feel like underwhelming. Like once again, we talked about last week the Giants being a team that had a lot of potential for their uniforms. I think the Rockies are another team that have a lot of potential, but just doing maybe a little too much with these.
Yeah. I mean, it's another case of where you see the previous one just being a lot better than the new
Yeah,
one. Um, so I think that's the case for this one. Same case for the Nationals and the Giants. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like if you're a diehard Rockies fan, you're probably rocking that. Other than that,
yeah. No, I wouldn't be
you
calling
know,
that at all.
yeah. So um we'll do series of the week and then a new segment called High Low Buffalo. Series of the week. Edward, you want to take over? What's your series of this week coming up?
Yeah, well, surprise, surprise. I'm going to take the Chicago Cubs and Arizona D-backs. The two teams already played once this year down here in Arizona. This series is going to be back up in Chicago. D-backs, 2 games over 500, 9-7. So, an okay start to the year for them. We talked about injury bug. I think it was, what was it? Ketel Marte is on the IL right now. Um, but you look at the Cubs on the other hand, the Cubs have been putting up a lot of runs, and that is what has impressed me about this team. I think the best example of that would be, oh, by the way, a 16-0 win. I think that was what, Friday, in Dodger Stadium. So the Cubs have been putting up a lot of runs. I wish I was trying to find the exact stats. I would assume they are probably at the top of the list for most runs scored. So a team that's clicking offensively, you'd like to see it. Kyle Tucker's been doing his thing. PCA had a great weekend in LA. But the news came out this past week that Steele is going to have season-ending elbow surgery. So, um, series of the week, in my opinion, just because both teams have an opportunity. Like the D-backs, 2 games over 500. They're playing the Marlins during the week, so should pick up some wins there. Perhaps a opportunity for them to get a little win streak going. But as for the Cubs, like you're returning home off a road trip. They're out west right now in San Diego. Um, We'll see how much the absence of Justin Steele means for them, and I think both teams with an opportunity to either fall or rise in this weekend series.
Solid pick, solid pick. Are we ever gonna get a series where you don't pick the Cubs? Do you
No,
think
because
that'll ever happen?
no, 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 no. Like I said before, this is the Cubs' year, so I'm pretty much covering the eventual World Series champs all year long, so I can take the PNN viewers every step of the way.
Fair enough, I guess.
You know?
My weekend series is gonna be the Angels hosting the Giants at the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim Stadium. Um, Two teams that are pretty hot right now. Angels sitting second in the AL with a 9-6 record, while the Giants are arguably one of the best teams in baseball right now. 12-4. So, I mean, sucks that they're in the division with, you know, a 14-3 Padres and a 12-6 Dodgers.
Yeah,
But I think this is the good test for the Angels, especially at home. Um, Chance to, show who they really are. I mean, again, what I've seen from the Angels, we got that game one of the year where we had a position player against the White Sox, you know, but then we come out and we just bypass that, and then we'll beat like the Astros or something. Like
yeah.
those are the games that really matter. So, um, I think that's going to be a good series. I'm not sure who's starting for us on Friday. I don't know why I said us. Let's cut that in production. But but it's gonna be a good series. two teams that are hot with the bats as well. I think the Angels have like the most home runs in the league right now as a
Yeah.
team. And then we got probably one of the hottest hitters, Kyron Paris. Also, he's batting like 396 on the year so far. So exciting stuff. Let's get into high-low Buffalo for us. You want to take what's your high, or should we explain to the viewers what high-low Buffalo is?
Yeah, yeah, Joey had to explain it to me, so why don't you kind of lay it out the same way that you explained it to me, so we're all on the same page.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So basically, what it is we'll each say like our a high, which is like a good thing that's been happening. So yeah, that's basically the high, and then the low, obviously, something that's pretty bad, and then Buffalo is just a random thought, random thing we have. So my high, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll say my high first. My high is Jackson Churio, a guy that is 21 years old in the major leagues. Last year was a rookie on the Brewers. Is dominating right now, batting 289 with 14 runs, 17 RBIs, one stolen base, five home runs, a 592 slugging, and an 878 OPS. So absolutely dominating in MLB. It sucks that he's on the Brewers, and the Brewers aren't too not the brightest right now.
Yeah.
So, what's your high?
Yeah, I'll keep it in the NL. I'm gonna go PCA Pete Crow Armstrong for the Cubs. Surprise, surprise. Great weekend for him. In LA, the California kid. He's now had back-to-back games, going 3 for 4. That Sunday night game in LA on ESPN. He goes 3 for 4 with 2 home runs. His parents in attendance, kind of his homecoming game, if you will. Really starting to click. We talked about, or at least we heard about negotiations between him and the Cubs happening on a potential extension. I believe the rumor was the Cubs offered 75 mil, and PCA turned that down, and kind of backed it up with two really good back-to-back performances, one against the Dodgers and one against the Padres. So PCA, we heard about him a lot coming up through the farm system, kind of starting to turn that corner now in his second year.
Yeah. So I like PCA, a big PCA fan. My low is going to be the Boston Red Sox, unfortunately. Um, let's go back to last week, Monday, April 7th. They lose the series against the Blue Jays. They lose three out of four games. Then they go play the White Sox. The first game against the White Sox, you would think, it's a close game. They lose 11-1 on that Friday. Tough start to the weekend. They lose that series. And then yesterday, Monday, April 14th, they lose to the Rays 16-1. So, not a good stretch for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
What's your low?
Yeah, for my low, I'm going to go circle back to that Justin Steele season-ending surgery. I think really the bigger low is going to go to the Chicago Cubs pitching rotation. The rotation already pretty light, right? You had Steele and Imanaga as your 1-2, but the rest of the rotation not exactly you're confident in. You got Tayon, Boyd, and Ben Brown for your five-man rotation. So the Cubs lost a lot of pitching. Their bats have been carrying them for a majority of their games right now, but eventually the bats will go cold at some point this season. You're going to have a cold streak, and your pitching is going to have to back you up. And with the absence of with Justin Steele, I don't think as a Cubs fan you want to feel too confident moving forward, especially given the fact that he's out for the rest of the season. So tough break there
So,
for all the Cubs fans out there. I don't know who you are, but yeah, the Cubs fans are
no one
probably
is, bro. You're talking to nobody.
not feeling well right now.
All right. And my Buffalo is gonna be MLB ballpark giveaways. I know that's kind of like a high. That should be a high, but I was going through it on MLB.com. Each team's best promotional giveaway in 2025, and a lot what I'm seeing are mystery bobbleheads. So what those are is, I guess, when they give it out, there's like different bobbleheads you get throughout the stadium. So an example, let's go with the Tigers. So Tariq Skubal is getting a Cy Young bobblehead on May 10th, but there's three different designs, one in each home road and City Connect uniform. It says complete with a Cy Young award and triple crown and a crown at the base to recognize his historic 24 season. Yeah. So that's kind of what the mystery bobbleheads are, I guess. Um, Pretty cool. I mean, I've never really had a giveaway where I went to where it's kind of like that's kind of been all like, one one bobblehead. Have you ever seen that before?
No, I'm not, but yeah, I like on a collective level, I think the bobblehead game's getting stepped up. I know I think the Reds just had one for Ellie De La Cruz that was pretty sick too that I saw. So I mean like honestly, I think we need to start, normalizing these bobblehead giveaways on a regular basis because I mess with them. It's a good way to get people in the door too early in the season.
Yeah. Um, I think the bobblehead giveaways are probably like the best.
Yeah,
I mean, the designs I'm reading, D-back, Star Wars Knight, Corbin Carroll in a Star Wars ship bobblehead. Like what?
nice.
Like, are we serious? A Shohei 50/50 bobblehead. Um, Steph Curry bobblehead for the Giants. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the Buffalo and also a high. Let's put it that way.
okay, I'm with that. For my Buffalo, I'll take a little bit of a different direction here, but the White Sox they're releasing City Connects in about 2 weeks' time, and there's this rumor that's been going around about like a Chicago Bulls inspired theme to this City Connect jersey. Bulls, for those of you who don't know, are owned by Jerry Reinsdorf, the same guy who owns the Chicago White Sox. And the most recent statement from them wasn't exactly denying it. So um, if I'll actually, I'll put a picture of the rumored jersey on the screen.
Yeah,
And not my favorite, not my favorite. White Sox were obviously very a little more daring and creative with the black pinstripe South Side ones. I'm just not sure how well these would go. Like the color scheme and the pinstripes or that whole like thing goes with the Bulls, but I'm just not sure the White Sox could pull it off. And it would be the first of its kind of I believe it would be the first of its kind as like a cross sport kind of type of I don't want to say collaboration, but inspired jersey.
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say it again. I mean, the originals are just a lot better,
Yeah.
and that's the case for like all of these. So it's a good
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Like I
Good
said,
Buffalo.
2 weeks we'll find out. So maybe this is completely fake news. It wouldn't be the first time that I've spread fake news, but yeah, we'll see about that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, Edward, let's end it with the hoops bus here and the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, good segue here. Speaking of basketball, it is playoff week. The NBA playoffs are here, starting with the play-in games tonight. Obviously, this will be posted hopefully on Wednesday, so this would be yesterday for you guys. But Hawks taking on the Magic. That's a 7-8 matchup. The other 7-8 matchup in the West, the primetime game tonight out here West Coast, would be the Grizzlies and Warriors. Warriors got beat by the Clippers. Draymond Green missing probably one of the easiest layups that you can make in the sport of basketball to send the Warriors down to the play-in. So those are the two play-ins on the West. And then, or I'm sorry, the play-in on the West would be the Grizzlies, Warriors. East would be Hawks and Magic. Those are the two 7-8 play-ins. That's what I meant to say. And then the other matchups tomorrow night would be the 9 and 10, and that is the Heat and the Bulls in the East, and the Mavericks and Kings in the West. For a refresher for everybody who's not an NBA nut like myself, for the 9 and 10, you got to win 2 games to get into the playoffs. For the 7, 8, you just got to win one. And if you lose the first playing game, you get another opportunity taking on the winner of the 9 and 10 seed playing games. Joy, your thoughts on those playing games?
Um, I think it's gonna be cinema. Um, Very hyped. Hopefully, Ja Morant does not throw any grenades or do any of that stuff
Yes.
t
Yeah.
tonight. Um,
Appreciate you bringing that up too, because that's, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I'm hyped for that Dallas Sacramento tomorrow night. I think that's gonna be a really good one. Hopefully, kind of two teams that kind of finding their way still. Um, and then tonight, I mean. I'm rocking with the Magic all the way, you know.
Yeah.
I like the Magic a lot tonight. I'm gonna take them winning tonight, and I'm gonna take the Golden State Warriors. Hopefully, pulling off the win. We don't know. They've kind of been shaky.
Yeah, I have to give it to Draymond Green because it's not every day that you have an opportunity to completely duck the Los Angeles Lakers, and he did it, right? So if they would have won that game, it would have been a first round matchup with the Lakers, but Draymond knew what he was supposed to do, and he did it. He executed it wonderfully. He went up for a layup. He kicked his leg out like 15 feet to try to get a foul. He didn't. So we know the world is right when Draymond Green is doing stuff like that. So shout out to him. Great playing, like that playing game, by the way, is just unbelievable. Like we get Grizzlies and Warriors in a play-in. To me, that's crazy that one of those teams is going to have to lose
Yeah.
and play with their back against the wall later this week. But as for the rest of the bracket, those games will start on Saturday. The matchups that we do know, the 1 and 2 seed, the seeds are still waiting for their opponents, but the other matchups in the Western Conference, we have Nuggets and Clippers. I know Joey is very high on the Clippers. The Nuggets are favored though in that one. The Lakers and Timberwolves, Lakers favored in that one, obviously, and then out east, Pacers and Bucks, Knicks and Pistons. Um, Really, like I said, it's to me right now the NBA is setting up for a throwback Lakers Celtics championship. So that's where I'm at. Obviously I'm biased, but I think that championship could feed generations to come.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean it's tough. You gotta face a tough Timberwolves team. And then the Clippers or Nuggets. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. So you like your path because you face the Rockets next round, is that what I'm hearing?
I would like that. Now, credit to the Timberwolves, Joey, because the Timberwolves do have one thing that worries me a little bit, and that's size on the inside, right? We have Jackson Hayes, but you mentioned it last week when we were talking about a potential Lakers Warriors series, is the absence of like that Anthony Davis that we did have last year. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like the path. I think the path sets up well, and let's be honest, the other side of the Western Conference is kind of a gauntlet. The Nuggets, I know they lost Mike Malone, but they're still a very good team. You have Jokic, you're always, I think, alive. And then the Clippers have been probably the best team as of late. I want to say they went like 8-2 in their last 10 or something like that. So they're a team that I probably don't want to face either. So my hope is that, those teams are going to fight it out. Hopefully, a couple 7-game series get a little tired, and then by the time they get to the Western Conference Championship, the Lakers will have swept their way to that point. So, it would be light work from there on out.
All right. All right,
Lakers in
dog.
five, though. Lakers in five.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We get it. We get it. Yeah. It's exciting. I'm excited to see what goes down. Um, and yeah, I mean, can we talk about how the Knicks and Pistons are playing each other in the playoffs? Some
Yeah,
things I would never see. I thought
yeah,
I'd never see. Um, so that's a pretty interesting first round matchup as well. But
yeah.
yeah,
I think also just real fast on the Pistons note, like one of the best turnarounds that I've seen in recent NBA history, right? Like that they were setting losing records last year, years before that, and they're now a team that avoided the play-in. I was kept waiting for them to slide down to that play-in spot. They were sitting right on the fringe at 6, but they avoided it, and now have an opportunity to make some noise. Cade Cunningham rounding into form, so.
hating them.
Shout out to them. But yeah, I guess I want to, I don't want to blow through first round predictions here, but I don't know. Maybe what do you think the best series will be in this first round? I think that's the better question.
Um, I mean, so how about this? Let's take our playing picks and then let's do that.
Okay.
Um, so for the Magic and Atlanta, who are you taking?
I'm gonna take the Magic. You mentioned it. Paul
Yeah.
Banchero. I think that team's better than a playing team.
Yeah, agreed. And who would they go play after that?
So if the Magic win, they will be the 7 seed. So they will play the 2 seed, which
Houston.
will
Or
be the Celtics.
yeah, the Celtics. Okay, okay, okay. Memphis, Golden State. Are we both taking Golden State?
I'm going to take Golden State. Like we mentioned a couple episodes ago, Memphis lost their coach, so I think a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
still to figure out on that one.
yeah, yeah. And then tomorrow, who you got tomorrow night?
Bulls and Heat. I don't like to say this, but I'm gonna take the Bulls. Josh Giddey's been having a heck of a fourth quarter of the regular season, so I'll take the Bulls. Heat would be eliminated, and then Mavericks Kings. I'm gonna take the Mavericks.
Okay. Uh, I'll ride with you on the Bulls, and I'm going to take Sacramento
Okay.
against Dallas. I think Sac is just a better put together team. Um, and yeah, that's mine. Okay. So now let's run through the first round on the Western side. Who do you got?
Okay, so for the West, we just want to go series by series here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the Thunder will take on. Let me pull this back up here because this is where this playing stuff gets confusing. Okay, so the Thunder are the one seed, so they'll take on the eight seed, meaning they would take on the winner of the winner of the second playing game, which would be the loser of the 7-8 and the winner of the 9-10.
Okay.
So
Which
that
is
means if we're assuming the Grizzlies lose,
yeah.
they would play either the Mavericks or the Kings. So
Okay.
I don't really care who that is. I'm taking
Yeah.
the Thunder in
I
that
think we're
series.
taking all. We're gonna let's just say this. We'll take all chalk.
Okay.
The ones and twos, right? In the
Yeah.
first round.
Yeah, I'm
You're
good
gonna
with
take
that.
Houston. You're taking Houston. You're taking Boston,
I'll take
obviously.
you. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So that leaves us with our 4-5 and our 3-6 matchups.
Yeah.
Um 4-5 Nuggets Clippers. Great series. I'll take the Clippers. I ride the hot hand here. No Mike Malone, but yeah, I'm kind of done with the Denver fans, to be honest with you. One championship was cool, but we need to kind of move on and I'm not liking what's going on over there now with with Russell Westbrook and the rumors that have been stemming of him being the reason Mike Malone was fired. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Clippers.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm also rolling with the Clippers. I mean, 9-1 in the last 10, 8 game win streak. Yeah, we're rolling. I mean, Kawhi's there. James Harden says he's gonna be the focus and the key element in that offense, and I'll take it.
Yeah, shout out ASU alum, by the way, James Harden, for those who didn't know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Lakers, Timberwolves. I think we're all in agreement. We'll take Minnesota Timberwolves.
Okay,
Let's
yeah,
move
all
on.
right. Well, we're just whatever. No, we're taking the Lakers here, Joey. Credit the Timberwolves. There's not enough. Just not enough here. I mean, you're playing the best big three. You got Luka Don, A. Reeves, and then LeBron. I mean, I don't think there's a better big three in the NBA right now.
I mean, listen, I want to take the Lakers. I really do, but I just don't see them. I mean, you got Julius Randle on the inside, Nas Reed, Rudy Gobert. Come on. Come on.
Sure, sure.
I know Rudy Gobert is not the greatest of the offensive threats, but I mean, who's driving in the paint with him in there?
For those of you who don't remember, it was Luka Doncic that absolutely owned the Minnesota Timberwolves back in his days in Dallas. Look at the last year's playoffs. So I'll just
Yeah.
float that out there.
Is he in Dallas though?
No, he's not in Dallas. He's actually with a better team now,
Oh, okay,
playing with
okay.
the greatest basketball player of all time, paired with the next probably star of the sport for maybe the next decade or so with Luka Doncic. So yeah, I'll meet you in a middle ground here though. Might be a more interesting series than some people think.
I mean, I think it is because I mean the Lakers don't have a big man.
Okay,
You
about to
know
be
what I mean?
introduced to Jackson Hayes. Can't wait.
I mean, say what you want. I mean, I take
So
Julius Randle over
just
Jackson Hayes.
just to put it out there, if you had to bet everything that you owned, you literally think the Minnesota Timberwolves are gonna win this series.
Yeah, I
Okay.
could see it. I see it happening. There's a
Okay.
world in which they do.
Well, of course there's a world, but I mean, okay. All right. Fair enough.
I'm
Fair enough.
sorry. I mean, it's just like it just has to be said.
Okay. All right. We'll go over to the Eastern Conference. Pacers and Bucks. Uh, this was kind of more down in our rundown, but Bucks will be without Damian Lillard, still dealing with that blood clot issue to start the playoffs. Pacers, a team that made a run in the East last year, had a great series against the Knicks. Joe, who do you favor in this one? Pacers have home court advantage, by the way.
Yeah, I'm probably going with the Bucks.
Okay.
Just based on the fact that, without Dame, I still think they're a pretty dangerous team, but I've said this before, the Pacers are pretty hot right now. I think this is the most, I don't know, I wouldn't say the most even matchup because I think the Clippers are pretty evened with the Nuggets. But honestly, this is a toss-up. I think with Dame, the Bucks, the Bucks in five, respectfully.
I am going to take the Pacers. Obviously, like I just mentioned, good playoff run last year. Halliburton, we know he's that guy. Still have a good thing going on there with Siakam, Turner, in the mix. I think also a very underrated coach, Rick Carlisle, did a really nice job coaching that Pacers team last year, even at times when they were missing some guys on the floor. So I'll take the Pacers. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Close series. I could see it going seven. I think home court advantage very well could be a difference.
Okay, okay. Who you got for the Knicks Pistons?
Knicks Pistons. I'm gonna go with the upset here. I'm gonna go with the Pistons actually. I know there's a crazy pick. I have to pick an upset eventually down the line here, and I think this is going to be it. Pistons just playing great basketball. I thought eventually, like I mentioned earlier, that they were going to fall off at some point. Didn't. I think this should be their coming out party. Knicks are favored very heavily out of all the first round matchups. This is the right now, or at least out of the first round matchups that we know, this is the widest margin on the odds in favor of New York, but I'm going to take the Pistons. Why not?
Okay, okay. I'm going with Stephen A's New York Knicks. I just think that lineup is pretty stacked. And I think that's gonna overpower Cade and them, respectfully. So I mean, you got Cat, Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Anunoby, So I
Yeah,
think that's tough starting five for the Detroit Pistons. Although I wouldn't mind seeing an upset. You know what I mean?
why not, right? Why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, like
So
we mentioned, playing games this week. Playoffs start on Saturday. That'd be, I believe, April 19th. So yeah, we'll swing back around next week and kind of see what we're working with in terms of our predictions. Couple other few notes before we wrap things up here. Some hometown news here in Phoenix. The Suns have fired Mike Budenholzer after one season. For those of you, context for it, Mike Budenholzer was with the Bucks, NBA champion. This is the third head coach in the last 3 years for the Suns that has been fired, adding to a coaching carousel that should be pretty interesting this offseason. The Suns have an open job, the Nuggets have an open job, the Grizzlies have an open job, and the Sacramento Kings have an open job. Just wanted to ask your thoughts, Joey. What would be the best open job right now out of those teams in the playoffs? As far as the Suns go, obviously they went all in. They still have that quote unquote big three. But then you got teams like Nuggets and Grizzlies who have some playoff pedigree, and then your favorite Sacramento Kings are also in there.
yeah, I would probably. I mean, I think it's a clear-cut Denver Nuggets. I mean, you probably have the best player uh on the in the league with Jokic there. Um, although I wouldn't mind Memphis. It's just, with Ja and all that drama over
Yeah,
there, it's kind of rough to see. But I mean, you still got Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr. over there,
yeah,
and then Sacramento. I mean, kind of a lot went down this year with the coaching and De'Aaron Fox being let go. But I mean, still Sabonis, DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Keegan
yeah,
Murray, and Malik Monk.
yeah.
It just probably depends on what market you like and where you would rather live.
Right. Yeah, that's another big part of
I
it.
mean, me personally, I want to live in Phoenix, but I just wouldn't take that job. I don't see
Right.
really anywhere to go with that. So, I'd
Yeah.
probably go Denver.
Yeah. I think Denver's. I fully agree. I think clear cut Denver is the job. I would say probably the only other one that might be close would be the Grizzlies, but Grizzlies really good young core, but you mentioned instability. Also, you have to live in Memphis. Never been there, but probably out of all the markets, the smallest. Worst job I would probably say is the Phoenix Suns, surprisingly, because I think the Suns are set for a rebuild potentially.
Hmm.
You're going to try to get Bradley Beal off the books, likely. I've heard rumors that they might want to shop, and this is just rumors from, keyboard warriors on Twitter, but maybe shopping Kevin Durant too. So I think that's probably the worst job because you're bound to probably be in a team that once again misses the play-in or playoffs, and also um, don't have a lot of draft capital nor money to
Yeah.
spend. So I think you're kind of set
Yeah.
up to fail there. However, Phoenix probably was the best place to live. So, like you said,
Yeah.
depends what your cup of tea is as a coach, but I want some job stability probably over anything. You can buy a nice house anywhere.
Yeah. I'd also say the Kings are a high one too. I mean, Sacramento's nice, not a bad place to live. Um, and the talent they got, and I like what I think they're kind of all bought in
Yeah.
with the GM and everything. They're kind of bought into the Kings, especially. I mean, you see the moves they made with DeMar and Zach LaVine, and good young talent still on there. So I
Yeah, and I
like the
think it's the
Kings.
mindset more than anything with Sacramento. Like they have made active moves to try to make the team better.
Yeah.
They're kind of on the opposite side than Phoenix is, right? Phoenix is
Yeah.
trying to deal away guys. Sacramento's in a buy now. And of course, like you have a baseball team now that you get to, take in for the next three years. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that's what I got for the hoops bus. But my favorite time of year, Joey, I'm an NBA guy. You know that.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
basketball guy. Real talent finally, unlike March, and gonna sit back and enjoy this one because I think you got banner number 18 coming to LA.
All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pull out that book again. What was that book?
Yeah, this is a great read, guys. It's a great read.
what's the title of that book?
Just LeBron.
Oh, okay.
There you
What is it
go.
like a okay.
This thing pretty
Yeah.
much covers everything about LeBron's career up until banner number 18 for the Lakers, ring number 5 this year. So part of the book's still unwritten, but
Yeah, yeah. You sleep with that every night or what?
no, this book is actually the people don't get to see, but this holds up my mic for every PNN podcast.
Oh,
So
okay. So you're just looking down on him.
some behind the scenes stuff you can now you just know LeBron James is with me every episode that we record. So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, hope you should contact him, hopefully get him as a guest on here.
I'm sure he's just jumping at that opportunity to come on the PNN podcast. Hey, he was on Pat McAfee. Like that's something I never thought Brown would be on. So I think, we're probably right next in line.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. So
So yeah.
that does it for episode 9, I believe.
Yeah.
Episode 9 of the PNN podcast. Come back to you next week, recapping the NBA playoffs and what goes down, and maybe might get a special guest on. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that being said, catch you next week, and hopefully y'all have a good rest of your week.